Hi, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Walter, I'm the Dutch mentor, and we are back again at the S.M.A.R.T Performance Podcast. S for self-care, M for mindful growth, A for adaptive problem solving, R for rhythmic operations, T for a thriving community, and of course, P for performance. I'm so happy to have Sarah with me today. We're going to be building on something we started last week, a couple episodes ago with Larry about the joyful molecule. Because it is so very important to be a good leader, but also to find the joy within that leads to outcomes that we desire. And I think we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper, but I'm 100% sure that Sarah can much better articulate what she does. Sarah, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll dive right into the topics after that.
Great. Thank you so much again for having me on the podcast. I'm honored. I grew up in Minnesota, but I live now in Northeast Florida. So I like to say, yeah, sure, you betcha, y'all. I started my career at General Mills, so corporate America, big systems, big organization, very smart people. It was really, a great place to start. Then I went down an entrepreneurial path and realized that small businesses can learn a lot from the big businesses, of course, in building and growing and scaling and all those things. But big businesses can learn just as much from the small businesses, the nature of pivoting, the startup grit, the entrepreneurial mindset, those sorts of things. And so I built the next chapter of my career coaching, kind of leading organizational change for big businesses, and then speaking and really doing workshops for kind of small to mid-sized businesses in order to help them get to where they want to go. So that's my professional career. I have 5 children. My husband is a 4th grade teacher, and that's me in a nutshell.
Good for you. I got 5 kids too. All grown up and all over the United States. The last one going to college in September. But it's good to have a big, loving family. That's for sure. And I just had my kids all and their friends here at the house, so everything is razzling, dazzling, and the washing and dryers are spinning full flow in the background. So let's dive into it. When you're talking about joy, tell me what do you mean with that?
Yeah, I think the ideal state for a business leader, whether you're a business owner or, the leader of a business unit, joyful innovation, in my opinion, is the pinnacle. That's where you want to get to. And what I mean by this is that you have built a stable platform for your team. They know what their roles are. They know what their responsibilities are. They know who is managing them, who they report to, those sorts of things. So much so that they feel safe and steady in order to see things from a broader perspective and bring in innovation, creative problem solving, and it becomes this joyful process for them. They are looking to competitors. They are looking to different industries to glean insight from them. When I talk about joyful innovation, it is the feeling, and again, this is the utopic description, right? We want our people coming to their job or thinking about their role with anticipation. How can I bring more? How can I be a part of this? I feel so empowered and trusted that I'm thinking of ways to continue serving our clients, continue collaborating with my coworkers. It is this kick off the sheets feeling in the morning. They come to work inspired, activated, interested, and I think it's really important because too many times it's the opposite in today's world. People are doing the rote jobs. They're coming and they're not excited and they're just going through the motions. And so I would like to be able to inspire leaders to upend that and bring forth the joyful innovation for their teams.
I love it. I love your passion. I can see it in it. And your dog in the background agrees with it too. And always remember that, no, never be sorry. Listen, those who keep dogs are good people, right? I have a little Great Dane puppy, 10 weeks old, 32 pounds already, by the way, running around. But I think she just fell asleep, so she's hiding somewhere. At my previous call, she was gnawing on my hand, as you can see on the camera.
Oh my goodness.
Damage is being done. So it brings me a lot of joy, right? And that's really the important part. I think what you said the word, right, is that, listen, joy allows for creativity. Now, it is the human behavior that we're really talking about. And it is so difficult for people, and especially people who are locked into the negative brain, or who have transitioned from doing to leading, but really never learned what leading is. So tell us a story about a client or an experience you've had that where you saw somebody who was stuck, and how did you get them across what I call the valley of despair, to learn to be joyful, so they really unlock that magical power in the team that they lead in order to get the results that they want?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I would say is that a lot of people who are kind of stuck in the mundane and they can't, kind of see the bigger picture, oftentimes they are trying to do too much and they're doing too many things that they don't want to do. And so I'm going to give you the example of a business owner. And, it's very typical to be in survival mode when you're first starting, right? You are doing all the things, you're serving the clients, you're doing the business development to get more clients. You're really kind of, stuck in the weeds, answering the phone, doing the payroll, all the things. As you start to develop a system, you can then bring on people, teach them kind of to act in your stead, and you begin to kind of rise above and be able to see and work on the business, not just in the business. I'm sure it is a really great book, the E-Myth Revisited, that really talks about this kind of philosophy. There's a couple of them actually, but it's this point in time where you can see the bigger picture. You can start to see a little bit ahead of the present. And it's then you start to have the ability to transition to kind of, what are the next services or products that we need to have? What are the people I need to bring in? What are the types of clients that are really profitable or beneficial? Who am I helping and where am I finding those people, right? Like it's important to notice that you can't help everyone. There are some people and some businesses or clients or whatever, it's not a great fit. And so having the elevation in this, kind of state to say, okay, that's not going to be someone I can help. How much, more inspirational and rewarding when you find those that are a really good fit. And so now you're starting to bring a lot of positive momentum. You are selecting, finding, seeking those that you can help. You're saying, no, I don't think you're going to be a great fit, and I'm going to give you another resource, or here's, another path. And everything kind of starts clicking. And now you're bringing on people because hopefully at this point you're profitable and you're able to kind of, supplement what you as one person, as the founder, is able to do. And so now you're bringing on more people, helping more people. It becomes this snowball of love. It becomes this, very positive momentum that you're building. And that is contagious. That is good for your team. It's good for your clients. And I think, you probably know the adage, you get as much as you give. And when you've got that helpful serving others, you're really doing good work for them, you're making a difference. It is that inward joy that I have experienced, at least, and I think most people do, in all honesty. And again, it's just kind of taking root now. You're helping and it's, rewarding. And so you're building upon that. But you can't see it if you're not at the point where you're kind of above. So to answer your question, I would say you've got to help build systems and processes. You've got to help build the team. And so the journey process, which is what my consulting firm talks about, it's not just one linear path. Every business is on a journey, just like every human. And we have to understand it may be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. There's a little bit of learning. Now it's 3 steps forward. And so having some, outside coaching can help. Having systems and processes, which are giving you the tools to become, able to see the forest for the trees. It might be consistent meetings with your teams. It might be more clearly establishing roles and responsibilities. Okay, Penelope, you are in charge of this. If a question comes, you're the first to answer the questions. If you need help, I am here to mentor and guide you. Now you're giving the reins to your team. And so it's these little pieces that start to come together. Again, I said meetings, roles, responsibilities in the form of probably an accountability chart. It is an annual performance plan where you are rewarding and incenting your team, but you are aligning with them on exactly which key performance indicators they are going to be responsible for. And so it's all these little, things that add up to building that stable platform. The opposite, in my opinion, Walter, is death by paper cuts. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I got all the questions answered today, so I never had time to do the thing that was most important in my day. Oh, great. The client called and now they're complaining because they don't know who to go to either. Now I have to answer this question for the team because you've never given them the reins properly or the, kind of supporting net for them to actually take it on. So again, it's not just one thing in this journey. It's a lot of little tiny baby steps and baby pieces that help to add up to make you able to stand on this platform of strength and joyfully innovate.
Well, well said. Thank you, Sarah. So I just want to remind the audience too, is that you do not need to be a business owner to do this, right? You need to look at yourself as an entrepreneur. If you are working in a hospital, you're a manager, you're a director, this is you too, right? It is not just those people who take the risk on using their own money. It's also the people who work in corporate America, not for-profit, not-for-public health. Does make a difference. These things very much work. So one of the reasons I do what I do, and I built this, the S.M.A.R.T mobile app out, which actually was released yesterday in the App Store, is to help you guide and use the steps to guide you through this valley of despair and talk about all these things and do all the things. Take action, meaningful action, 15 minutes a day to help you with that. There's one thing I would dive a little deeper into that because, all of this is really good, but if there's no trust, nothing happens, right?
Right.
So to explain the importance of trust and how do you establish trust to create this joyful energy in your work group, so you can unleash all of those positives that come from that.
Yes, that's a great point. I think Patrick Lencioni said it best and built a great model of trust. It's the base of the pyramid. If you don't have trust, you don't have intimate conversation about the business, which may have tense moments, right? I mean, and we're talking about, gosh, I don't think we should do this, Walter. I'm really concerned that this will harm our business. And so it's having that level of radical candor and that trust that enables it, that allows us to feel empowered and engaged, which kind of sets the tone for the accountability that we all feel, which leads to the results. And so again, if someone is trying to build trust amongst their team, I point them to Patrick Lencioni's pyramid of trust and 5 dysfunctions of a team, kind of all of his content. I believe that trust is built in the small moments. It is doing what you said you would do. It is saying what you will do. And it is holding yourself accountable, even when it's painful. And I think there are pieces as a business leader where you're going to make a mistake. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to do the wrong thing. And we're all human. We're learning as we go, right? I mean, there's no playbook that makes perfection. And so, I worry about people because the culture that we live in has this kind of canceling. I mean, people are so afraid to make mistakes. And yet mistakes are how we learn and improve. And so I like to teach business leaders that, if we make a mistake, if we're leaning in with our full, good intentions, aligned with the core values of the business, we really can't make a mistake. We learned something that doesn't work. But that in and of itself is progress. And so I think there is a bit of kind of a we have to all buy into this. The leadership team of an organization has to buy in and hold each other to this. And then that trickles down through the organization. So you talk about trust. I would say, again, if I say that I will get back to someone today, I better get back to someone today, because that pebble of trust is either going in the bucket or it is a detractor from my relationship with that person. And when they need something, they better be able to trust me, similar to how I'd like to be able to trust them in the future. And so again, I think my mentor and my business partner said it best, in my opinion. If we don't say it straight, it'll come out crooked. And it is having the ability to do what we say and say what we do 100% of the time. And if something goes awry and we make mistakes, as we will as humans, it is saying, oh dear, I am so sorry. I let you down in this specific instance, and I'm going to make it up to you. And then you have to do that. You have to make it up to them. So that is my answer on trust. It is crucial.
It is without a doubt, right? For me, the trust equation is, if you want to be high performers, you need to have trust, you need to have engagement.
Yes.
If you have engagement, no trust, you're not going to go anywhere, and vice versa, of course. It is something that needs continuous building, and it is the little pebbles, as you talk about, that leads to bigger outcomes. It is so important to have that well-placed apology, but even more important that you also learn to say no. Is that high performers along the way tend to take on everything that comes their way. Well, at some point in time, their bucket is full. And when you cannot perform at the highest level, that erodes trust as well. So there's always to think about that, is that, well-placed apology, like a well-placed no, like, listen, I'm really honored that you're asking me, but today I cannot do that. However, in a month from now, when I'm freed up, I'd be more than happy to circle back with you and be able to perform on that piece of the puzzle. Because again, it is when you start tarnishing your personal brand that erodes trust. And once trust is gone, it's very, very difficult to capture again. We talked a little bit about, and I think that from listening to you, you like process, right? There's a process. So give us a quick insight over the next couple of 3 minutes. What is your process when you work with somebody that somebody can say, hey, listen, these are some steps I can think about and maybe take for myself?
Yeah, that's great. The other piece that I think is really important is that, we as consultants, it is just as important to say who we can help and who we cannot. And so I talked about that a little bit at the beginning.
Yes.
It relates to the no, the well-placed no. There are some agencies, some consultants that will take any client, right? If you're able to stroke a check, good to go. And I think that's a bit of malpractice because, again, to the point that you made of our personal brand or our business's brand, if we're not making a difference for our clients and for the teams that are relying on us, shame on us. I mean, that is what they are paying and trusting us to do. And so there's a moment in that kind of intake, whether you're an architect and you have a client come in, or whether you are, a corporate team and you're looking at partnerships, and there's a moment of, gosh, this isn't going to yield the results, a win-win as we need it to. And so respectfully, bowing out and saying, I think it's going to be better if we go in different directions, or if you have a different partner that's able to do X, Y, and Z. So, that is a part of my process. I will say, in our consulting firm, the way that we coach our clients is that we get in on the ground floor and we know everything about them before we start an engagement. We take probably 4 to 6 weeks in that very beginning stage to know what is going on, from culture to communication to decision making to what is their kind of reward structure for their team, the compensation, incentives, that sort of thing. How are they serving their clients or their customers? How are they finding their clients and customers? Everything. It's like putting together a big puzzle. It's a 5,000 piece puzzle, and we put all these pieces together in order to see the picture. And while we're doing that, we're identifying little gaps or key issues that we see that we can identify. Do we have a solution for them or not? Because it's one thing to say, we can see that this is happening. We're not sure what to do, but we think you need to find someone that can provide you with a solution for this. If we can do the solution and coach them through it, great. That becomes a longer term engagement, but it's not always the case. And so again, you talk about process, and I would say it's a very methodical, very mindful moment at the beginning of any client engagement, knowing them and then knowing whether or not we are the right solution for them. Oh, yes. Well, pointnortheast.com is the best spot. it's a great resource. I talked a little bit about how we coach folks, and there's some resources on there that would be good. We have a great team. And so, I think we are all over the country. So physically, we don't have an office, but the website is probably the best spot. Um, Social media is another great spot, and I am more than happy to answer questions that people have. So, on LinkedIn, or even if you go to pointnortheast.com, you can find there's a, have a question, contact us. One thing I want to mention, Walter, is that sometimes it's lonely at the top. If you're a leader of a business unit, or if you are a leader within an organization, or if you're a founder and owner of a business, your employees are not your friends. I mean, sometimes, you might be friendly with them, and they might be, close compatriots of yours, but you've got to be careful. These leadership questions and the things that a leader grapples with, it's best to find someone at a leadership level or a coach that you can bounce things off of, get ideas, and have that dialogue with. And I am always willing to dialogue with folks, especially if they're in a little bit of a pickle and feel alone, because it does become, again, I think it's lonely at the top, and we've all had that experience of not knowing where to turn. So I would just say, please reach out if you've got a question. I'd be happy to answer it. Mhm. Thank you, Walter. Have a great day. Happy New Year. It says 99% uploaded. Yeah. Good. Oh, interesting. Great. Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Walter. Well, 19 to 13. So we have 5 teenagers right now. Yeah, pretty fun. Oh, that's, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Yeah, exactly. That sounds great. Thank you again. All right. All right. Here. All right. Bye.